CUC has strived to be more than just an electricity provider. We have sought to be a foundational company. We give back to our community, and with the hard work and dedication of our employees, we have built and maintained one of the safest and most reliable electricity grids in the region. As we all look to the future, we at CUC want the Grand Cayman community to have confidence that our commitment to you will continue. Join us as we continue this journey together at empoweringcayman.com.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the second of 19 candidate forums for the 2025 general elections in the Cayman Islands, proudly hosted by the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce. My name is Omari Corbin, and I am honored to serve as the current president of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm also pleased to be one of the panelists posing questions to our candidates this evening. Before we begin, I sincerely thank the two Northside candidates, Johanny Ebanks and Justin Ebanks, for accepting our invitation to participate in tonight's forum. By appearing together on this platform, you demonstrate a shared commitment to the democratic process and the people of Northside. Your presence signals your readiness to address the pressing issues raised by the community through a recent chamber survey, which has helped shape the questions we'll be asking today. While time won't allow us to cover every question submitted, we will do our best to focus on the topics identified as the most important to the voters in the Cayman Islands and Northside. When the Chamber was founded in 1965, it was built on the principle of supporting, promoting, and protecting the interests of our members and the wider community. Remaining strictly nonpartisan, we have proudly hosted these candidate forums every election year since 1988. We've provided a neutral platform for 9 elections where voters can hear directly from those seeking public office, helping our community make informed decisions on election day. The questions for tonight's forum have been carefully developed based on past and current chamber surveys, our 3-year advocacy agenda, and submissions from the public in various constituencies. No candidate has received these questions in advance, ensuring a fair and open discussion. As an organization committed to supporting a strong and sustainable Cayman, the Chamber's advocacy efforts focus on 3 key pillars: building a future-ready workforce, sustaining economic success, and advancing quality of life. The newly elected Chamber Council believes these pillars are fundamental to our island's continued growth and prosperity. Looking ahead, the Chamber intends to work with the incoming government to develop a government accountability scorecard to ensure accountability and transparency. Additionally, we will seek representation on key government boards and authorities, as we believe our members bring valuable expertise that can help shape effective policies and initiatives. These forums require months of coordination, and I'd like to acknowledge the tremendous efforts of Will and the Chamber staff who have worked diligently behind the scenes. I'd like to express our gratitude to Ashley's Furniture and Home Store, Foster's, CUC, and Logic for their generous sponsorships, which have made these forums possible, and to our media partners, Cayman Mall Road, Cayman Live TV, and ICCI FM for broadcasting tonight's event. We are live streaming the forums, making it easier than ever for voters to tune in from the comforts of their homes. We hope this added accessibility encourages even greater participation in the democratic process. And now, it's time to begin. I'll turn the proceedings over to Will Panu, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, who will serve as tonight's moderator. Will outline the forum's rules and introduce our Northside candidates.
Good evening, candidates. Here are the rules for tonight's forum. Each candidate will be asked 10 questions or more depending on the time. You'll have 2 minutes to elaborate on each question if you choose to do so. I will notify you when the timer is elapsed. You'll hear a ringer, and I'd ask you at that particular time to wind up your response. Each candidate will be allowed to answer the question without interruption, is free to differ with an opinion or position of your fellow candidate during your allotted response time. Candidates should deal solely with the issues and asking that no personal attacks be tolerated. At the conclusion of the forum, each candidate will be allowed 2.5 minutes to deliver a closing statement. And now let's introduce the candidates. Mr. Johanny J. Ebanks serves as the Minister of Planning, Agriculture, Housing, Infrastructure, Transport, and Development. Minister Ebanks was elected as an independent representative for North Side District in the 2021 general elections. In this election, he's running as an independent. With an extensive background of over 20 years in the tourism and construction industries, Minister Ebanks brings a wealth of experience to his role. He has successfully owned and managed various businesses throughout his career, exemplifying his entrepreneurial spirit. Not only is Minister Ebanks deeply involved in the community, he is also deeply involved in the community. He actively contributes to the betterment of Northside through his charitable work with organizations like Meals on Wheels, and additionally, he participates in community events such as Pirates Week, the football camps, emphasizing the importance of service and giving back. Minister Ebanks firmly believes that one's true wealth lies in serving others and making a difference. Welcome, I'd say Johanny Ebanks, but I call you Jay, right? Next, we'll move on to Mr. Justin Ebanks. He's a lifelong Northside resident with 27 years of active community involvement. Beginning his political engagement at the age of 14, when he first spoke on a political platform, Justin represents a new generation of leadership while honoring his district's traditions and values. With over 15 years of management and business development experience across telecommunications, logistics, and finance sectors, Justin brings proven problem-solving expertise to address Northside's challenges. His business acumen is complemented by his extensive community service, including coaching youth sports, serving on the Immigration Board, and contributing to the Hurricane Committee. Justin comes from a family tradition of excellence with parents who are respected leaders in finance and business administration. He is committed to delivering meaningful progress through his candidacy with the People's Progressive Movement. At this time, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with the first questions of the candidates. Please stay tuned.
For the past 58 years, CUC has strived to be more than just an electricity provider. We have sought to be a foundational company. We give back to our community, and with the hard work and dedication of our employees, we have built and maintained one of the safest and most reliable electricity grids in the region. As we all look to the future, we at CUC want the Grand Cayman community to have confidence that our commitment to you will continue. Join us as we continue this journey together at empoweringcayman.com.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for the constituency of Northside. This is our second Candidates Forum in a series of 19 forums. Tonight's questions will be posed by Chamber President Omari Corbin and Chamber President-elect Christina Spratt. We'll turn it over to Omari.
Thank you, Will. So, Jay, we'll start with you. The first question. Can you share why you have decided to run in this year's election and what 3 district issues you would address if elected?
Well, the reason I wanted to continue to be elected for Northside, because I could see where things are getting done. I'm a Northside needed an action man to get things completed, and I've been delivering for them. I've had a passion to be in politics for several years, going back from 2002, when I was first along with a lot of the other members at that time, listening to them, hearing, going to all of the meetings that they used to have in Northside and other districts. And it's, for some reason, it just found its way into me, of serving the people. And I thought the best way for me to serve my people is to be able to give back to them and be able to open a voice for the people that are most lonely.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Justin, would you like me to repeat the question?
The question is why I decided to run and what are the 3 district issues?
Yes.
Okay, let me answer the question correctly. I am running for Northside as the PPM candidate this election. I want to bring stability to Northside. I want to use collective representation to allow the people of the district to have a say in how the district is run. I think it's important to have the people included in the decisions that are made in the district. I want to use my professional background to bring professionalism to this process. I also want to make sure that we create opportunities for people and solutions to create a better quality of life for the people of Northside. And I also want to put an end to the bullying and favoritism that has crept into politics recently. The 3 main issues we have identified is cost of living, housing, and lack of job opportunities. Should I elaborate on the 3? Cost of living is robbing people of the ability to expand their lives, being able to do better for themselves and their families. So we're looking at solutions to definitely reduce the cost of living. I hope tonight I get a chance to dive further into cost of living reduction. Housing is a serious issue. We're not seeing effective housing solutions that we can drive people into homes quicker, more efficiently, and more cost effectively. And last but not least, job opportunities is something that is definitely robbing us of having better disposable income and better abilities to help ourselves. A lot of Caymanians are hitting very low glass ceilings and not achieving the higher end jobs, and we seem to be settling for mediocrity when it comes to opportunity in the job market. So thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Good evening. So I am going to start with the second question, and I'm going to ask Justin to be the first one to respond. What 3 national issues would you seek to address if elected?
So the 3 national issues I would like to address are the same 3 that are affecting the district: cost of living, housing, and lack of job opportunities. Cost of living needs to be reduced. What I've looked at with the team I'm running with is bringing back free health care for children up until the age of 18, and the elderly who are retired past the age, 65 and up. In doing that, we reduce some of the expenses out of someone's salary. It gives them a better income, more disposable income. They have more to spend towards bills and trying to catch up with the cost of living. We also have to look at the purchases that we make. The country buys from the highest point of purchase, which is the United States. Most Caribbean islands are more successful buying from other countries like Panama and Central America. What we need to do is look at policies and programs that allow the logistics for shipping to come from other countries other than the U.S. If we can purchase from other countries that have a lower threshold of purchase, that will help alleviate the cost of goods in this country. When it comes to housing, we're looking at expanding the housing, but it needs to be revamped. We're still following an old model that is not sufficient for today's world. We need to build homes a little bit faster. We're seeing homes taking 4 years to build. If it's going to take 4 years to build a handful of homes, up to 20 homes, it would take 20 years to complete 100 homes when we have almost 1,000 people chomping at the bit to have home ownership. We also have to look at other solutions. Rather than building homes, doing apartment-type complexes where people can have an apartment. Not everyone wants to have a home. Young people, first-off couples, they can have an apartment. When they're ready to move on in life and up themselves, they can sell the apartments and move on. A government-subsidized apartment complex would allow that. Also, looking to do something about job opportunities. We need to crunch down on immigration. We need to make sure we're giving our kids the education for the jobs that are in demand today. We need to have a better grasp on what it takes to get our children employed. Our young people need a chance. We also have to find ways to pivot the working class to make sure they have a chance to step up when necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Jay, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, that's okay. My top issues would be immigration reform. And the reason I said that immigration reform is because we're at a critical role right now where we see a lot of people are getting deported back home. We need to make sure that we're tightening up our borders to know who's coming in and what to the country. We need to make sure that we get our face recognition, our fingerprint scanning machine, and be able to connect into the Interpol system so we know who is actually who when they're coming to the Cayman Islands. We need to get back to where we're going to look at when it comes to our statuses, not giving away all of our statuses anymore, but to determine who actually gets a status. And it has to be either you're going to be either marriage or by descent when it comes to getting our status. This is how we're going to be able to control or start to work on our immigration reform. I'm a person that believes that there's a lot more that we can add into it. When it comes, the other thing that we have to do is that we need to make sure that every civil servant that's in the government, that's getting a contract, that is not a Caymanian, is going to be part of the rollover policy going forward from now on. Because that's the only how we're going to get young Caymanians back into government, is by training them, getting them back, and rolling them in the system. They're not going to get into the system by someone sitting there holding their position where they should be at. The next one I want to tackle on is food security. Food security has been a big thing for this country for quite some time. I created the first food security policy for this country. We've looked at opening up from Honduras. We went down to Panama. What we have to do is just get the logistics side, continue to get started out. We can continue to do that. We need to do it because we see what's happening. We see our CARICOM members on the other side are just being bullied now and telling what they can be done. It's only a matter of time before things start to get tighter. So yes, we need to go to South America. We know South America isn't starving. We just need to get down to what we need to get our developers and our people that are there from here focused to go that direction so that we can get food from that way in the country down there. Traffic is another one that I'm running on. Our traffic issues are still there. We still need to continue to get where we need to get with our East-West Arterial Road and to continue to finish off on our transportation policies that we've had in place, that we're almost there with getting there.
Thank you, Jay.
So Jay, I'll be asking the third question to you. Do you support increasing the minimum wage for all workers? And if yes, what would you recommend as the minimum wage?
I don't, when it comes to minimum wage, we have to look at it very carefully because what we got to make sure is that when we increase the minimum wage, we're talking about increasing cost of living could be at the same time. And we understand that there are some people that we have to look at the sectors where we want to have Caymanians in. So there are going to be sectors that I think that minimum wage, yes, needs to go into, but what sectors are they going to be? Is it the ones that we want to see our Caymanians into? Or do we want to just put a blanket right across everything? And the one person that can't afford a helper right now just tells you, said, okay, well, you guys just raised the minimum wage. Now I can't afford a helper. Now I got my kids are home now without a helper anymore. So we really have to look at it very carefully, very, very carefully, because it will push the cost of living in this country up higher. It has to be done by sector. And as I said again, look at it in the right approach.
Thank you, Jay. Justin, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, that's fine. Yes, we need to look at increasing the minimum wage in this country. And the reason being is that we can establish that $6 or $7 an hour is definitely not enough to survive in this country. If you're going to pay someone that kind of money, you're going to introduce poverty. And you're going to say that poverty is okay in this country because we've all identified mathematically you cannot survive on $6 or $7 an hour. So we have to look at a proper format to put the increase for the salary. But when we don't reduce the cost of living, we're also saying that we're not going to allow people to be paid adequately. So it has to be a twofold approach. One, cost of living has to be reduced. We have to have measures to bring down the cost of goods and the cost of living here. And we also have to increase the salaries to make sure that we're competing with what it takes to survive in this country. It is unacceptable for people to be surviving here and not living if they're from this country.
Thank you, Justin.
So Justin, I'll continue with you. Many vocational and technical jobs in Cayman are held by expatriate workers. What strategies would you recommend to increase the number of Caymanian students who enter these fields?
Well, education is going to be a big format for us to move forward as a country. So vocational schools and technical schools is one way to teach the young people and also teach those who are working who want to pivot. So we have to teach them from a vocational school level. That's one. Actually having the introduction to the curriculum into the schools early, such as STEM system, science, technology, engineering, and math, is the way forward for the way the world is going now with jobs. So vocational schools, early curriculum in the schools, and then we also have to look at where immigration can identify a threshold number of what we're going to allow as permits. If they're going to get the certifications and they're going to get the qualifications, they still have to be able to get the employment. What we're seeing now, again, is that due to saturations in the market, a lot of times there's not room for them to get into those jobs. So it has to be a balance between immigration reform, making sure there's room for them to transition into those jobs, and the curriculum. We're seeing where AI and technology is now replacing people in the workforce. We're going to have to move back to blue-collar jobs and more service-based industries, so we definitely have to get a grasp up on what it's going to take to move people into those industries. So the curriculum in the schools, opening up popular vocational school that's accredited to make sure that once they finish those programs, it is recognized and they're able to go out and get jobs based on what they have learned and not just a paper certificate that doesn't have any weight or clout. So twofold, immigration and proper curriculum.
Thank you, Justin. Jay?
Repeat the question.
Many vocational and technical jobs in Cayman are held by expatriate workers. What strategies would you recommend to increase the number of Caymanian students who enter these fields?
Well, one of the first things when we talk about education, we've always said that for some reason we think that if our kids aren't going to be in the banking or the financial industries, we kind of make them seem like they're nobody. Why are we not pushing for vocational training from just outside of primary school? Why are we not trying to filter these kids that they know? If you go and you talk to a kid today, he can pretty much tell you what he wants to do. But you know what the problem is that politicians don't talk to the kids. They don't go there, they don't talk to them, they don't spend time with them. So they would not know what the education system that they need. Why are we not focusing them from the get-go when they want to be a fireman, if they want to be an electrician, so that by the time you are ready to graduate from school, you're making $35 to $45 an hour being an electrician right off the bat. You're already trained as a master electrician. You're already trained as a master mechanic. Whatever direction you want to go, let's start to channel those kids and put those in there. Instead of let's stop looking at just at the top 10 and saying, okay, well, these are the top 10, here's where we want to go. We have failed the kids with our education system. We have watered it down. We need to go back, make sure that the system is working, and start to select these kids and say, look, if this is what you want to be, this is where we're going to push you to be in there. And yes, vocational training is very important. And I'm happy to see that people are realizing that now, because we have a PDMD class right now, and we have a big number of kids that actually go there. But it's actually like a failure class. So once you have failed from the coming out of high school, here's your second opportunity. It is treated as that way. We need to stop treating it as a second opportunity and start to treat it as something as a first and say, look, it is okay to be an electrician. It is okay to be a plumber. We need to make our kids stop trying to tell our people that our kids that you have to shoot for this star, but we know you'll never get there. There are some kids that are going to get there, yes, but there are some kids that they're very good with their hands and can do anything. So why aren't we focusing those kids in the direction where they want to be instead of telling them, you have to go this direction?
Thank you, Jay.
Well, thank you, Candace. We've gone through the first 4 questions. We're going to take a short commercial break. Please stay tuned.
For the past 58 years, CUC has strived to be more than just an electricity provider. We have sought to be a foundational company. We give back to our community, and with the hard work and dedication of our employees, we have built and maintained one of the safest and most reliable electricity grids in the region. As we all look to the future, we at CUC want the Grand Cayman community to have confidence that our commitment to you will continue. Join us as we continue this journey together at empoweringcayman.com.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forums for the constituency of Northside. We've gone through the first 4 questions. Now I'll turn it over to Omari Corbin, who's going to present the next question on tourism development.
Jay, we'll start with you. What is more crucial, replenishing 7 Mile Beach or constructing a new pier for cruise ships? And please explain your answer.
Well, thank you, Omar, for the question. First off, we need to replenish 7 Mile Beach. 7 Mile Beach is the breadwinner for the tourism industry. And building a cruise ship pier and not having the beach fixed isn't going to work. So we need to put the efforts in to creating the policy, allowing the private sector to go out and to fix the beach what it needs to be done. All the government has to do is just put a policy in place on how it has to be done, and allow the private sector to do their job. That's it. We don't need to micromanage them. We don't need to be out there telling them, or the government doesn't have to take $20 million and put into sand. That's not it. I would prefer the government to take $20 million and put into solar panels for senior people at the north side or anywhere else in the country. That's what I prefer to see money being more well spent at. But again, we need to get the beach fixed, and it's just creating a policy and allowing the private sector to do their job from there.
Thank you, Jay. Justin, do you need me to repeat the question?
So firstly, we have a referendum coming up to cover the cruise berthing facility. So I don't want to influence the people's decision that they're going to make on April 30th. Once that decision is made, the government will know how to move forward with the berthing facility. But the beach erosion is something we are facing, and there's no referendum for that. So there needs to be a look at for the beach renourishment programs, which they do in Florida, and it's very effective. With the beach renourishment program, you're going to be able to put the beach back where it needs to be. You can put the sand back. And tourism can help pay for that. Some of the funding that we have from tourism can help re-nourish those beaches. So we're going to have to make sure we keep our tourism model successful. We have to make sure that stay-over tourism is successful, and the cruise tourism has to be successful, because the revenue gain from that will also help put back the beach. Now, we have seen beaches in Northside appear due to the sand being replaced on places that were rocky before. And of course, we're losing sand on 7 Mile Beach. So we're going to have reoccurring programs that are going to fix different locations when we see the erosion happening. But it has to be funded. So tourism can help fund that program. So beach nourishment is something that's been done successfully in Florida. We have the models and scales to look at and go off of. So what we can do is establish that now as a solution for the beach erosion. And when the referendum is done on April 30th, the government will then know how to move forward with the cruise berthing facility. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Justin.
Justin, so I'm going to continue with you. Many Caymanians and residents complain that finding affordable housing is challenging. Would you support the construction of multi-story accommodations to conserve land and provide more options for Caymanians in the districts? Why or why not?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I do support that, and I know that we're looking at some initiatives now to support that. The country is not big enough to keep expanding outward, so we're going to have to go upward. We can do apartment-style complexes for people to be able to have access to affordable homes. They don't have to be houses, they can be apartments. Some people who are young just want a place to live. They don't want the responsibility of cutting a yard, painting a house. Government can subsidize those apartments and build in a contingency for what would replace strata. Now, the reason we have to do that is because people currently paying off their apartment mortgages still have to pay strata. If you don't pay your strata, you can actually lose your place for failing to pay those stratas. If government does the program, we can control that narrative and make sure that people don't lose if they do invest in it. If someone wants to sell the unit, the funds go back to them. They can take those funds and move on to a different home style, whether it's a bigger home or their own property, but the fund stays within the government pool. We can also do a co-op and work with private developers. Government can give concessions to private developers or do a co-op where they buy into private development projects where they're building apartments and condos, so Caymanians can have an option to live in those places. We don't have to just centralize everyone in one spot when it comes to housing. We want people to be able to ingratiate in different parts of the community and have options on where they can live with different standards and different styles and structures. But definitely the government will be looking to do their own apartment style setup and also buying into other projects that people can have the ability to expand themselves into those fields.
Thank you, Justin. Jay, would you like me to repeat the question? Many Caymanians and residents complain that finding affordable housing is challenging. Would you support the construction of multi-story accommodations to conserve land and provide more options for Caymanians in the districts? Why or why not?
Thank you. Yes, let me first start off with going back to the national housing. The national housing has been there, and the one thing that's what they're looking at right now is multi-story. And for one of their first multi-story blocks that they're going to be looked at is for Georgetown. You know, I was the minister that created the first housing policy for what we have in place now, and that's what they've been looking at. And how do we get developers in? What we have to do is incentivize developers to help us get more back into that middle class. Developers have left the middle class and went out to the elite and just wanted to build more elite homes. We have lost that gap that was there. What we're doing, we're having a large housing crisis that we're having now. So I do want to see us go back to multi-story. I do want to see us go into lease to own, because we do know that there are Caymanians that the banks don't want to take any risk with. But the government's going to have to take the risk with them. We created the first lease to own with them. And I want to just go back to what the member, my friend here mentioned earlier, taking about 4 years to build homes. Well, yeah, it took housing a little time to get back off, but the problem with took housing to get off there is because the previous government didn't do anything when it comes to homes, and we didn't have to do a cleanup exercise from 2015 because there was no audits done on national housing from 2015. So we had to do 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So it was a period that we stopped, that we could not build anything. So that's why those homes slowed down for that period, if you want to make sure what the right answer is out there, not just throw something out. But I'm going to tell you again, yes, we are looking to go there, but we need to make sure that we're doing it in the right locations, in the right areas. We're not just buying land and in any wetland area and going to throw down a block of homes in that area, and then that cause another ripple effect, because once we put something here, it channels off this section here where we're going to have a drainage issue problem. It needs to be done sustainable and to be done the right way. And I am going to be pushing for multi-story development, and we will be seeing one of the first ones that are being done in Georgetown, central Georgetown.
Thank you.
Jay, I'll start with you for the next question. What solutions would you recommend to address the traffic gridlock many Northside commuters face, especially during the school year?
Well, our number one issue that we have with our traffic is that we need to continue to build out our roads that we have, right? We need to get the east-west all the way to Northside to get that started off with. There are multiple lanes that we need to build out into that. One of the things in that east-west build-out is to have a dedicated lane for our buses to be able to run into. Because if you want to be able to implement our traffic buses where they're going to be able to move up and down, you don't want to get in a bus because you're going to get in a bus to get back into traffic. You're getting into a bus because it makes you help you to get from point A to point B a lot quicker, a lot faster. One of the areas that we're looking at is making a small depot in the Savannah area where we're going to have the buses from the eastern side of the island. There's a dedicated bus that'll be there, and they don't cross Savannah. So their thing is to be able to make sure that they are always at a bus stop every 15 minutes to be able to pick up someone that's going there. And by the time once we get there, and then it's going to take another hard approach, but it's going to be able to say that, you know what, Maybe there is a certain thing in work permits may not be able to own a vehicle in this country. We just may have to just take that approach. I'm sorry, but it is, because we cannot build ourselves out of the mess that we're in. And what we need to look at is our safety standards, what I've created also, of what type of vehicles we can bring into this country. Because the Cayman Islands is becoming a dumping ground for those vehicles that are coming from China. Because you know why? They cannot be on their roads anymore. So they're finding the easiest way to get them here. And everyone is owning a vehicle. There are certain countries so these people are coming from, they've never owned a license until they got here. But once we fix this problem, then it would allow Caymanians to start an Uber system whereby the Caymanian can own his own vehicle then and be able to pick up the slack for those that need to be transferred up and down. So we can have the taxi operators and we can have an Uber system that deals with the local market at the same time.
Thank you, Jay. Justin, do you need me to repeat the question?
No. So the East-West Arterial Road will be an alternate route. It'll be there to help alleviate traffic, and it'll be a means for any emergencies that happen on the current main road. But a public transport system will have to be properly put in place. Now, if a bus has to pick up people from each doorstep or throughout the district, it's going to take too long for that bus to collect people to get them where they need to go in time. What we can look at is doing depots in each part of the country. Every district should have a parking depot where people can park their cars and catch the bus. Having a centralized location will speed up the process of getting onto that bus and then being able to be traversed into different districts. They can get off at each depot at that point if that's the location you're trying to get off to. But the depot helps speed up where the buses take in and let out people. Secondly, the bus system has to be set up and structured where it has a timely operation, and it has to be successfully subsidized by government. That way they can control the routes and control how the buses are operated. We also have to look at reducing some of the people that drive cars in Cayman. We need to find ways that we can allow those who don't necessarily have to be driving on the road. People on permits will be one, but also people who are working in the industries that have company vehicles. A lot of times those company vehicles could be used in their respective districts, so they don't have to come to the compound to receive that vehicle. There's another initiative we can do, is that's to decentralize some of the business in Georgetown. If we move things out of Georgetown, there's less need to go to one focal point. If everyone on the road is on the road at the same time, going to the same direction, we're going to see congestion. We're not wide enough to keep including too many lanes. The country is only so wide. And if we're going to talk about expanding home ownership and farming and everything else, we can't afford to take up our land mass to put in roads. We need to utilize the roads that we have now adequately, and we have to ensure that we have structured work hours that will alleviate some of the times that people are on the road, because we see when school is out, a lot of times traffic is reduced. So if we can have those measures in place, that would help with traffic.
Thank you, Justin.
Justin, health insurance premiums continue to increase annually for many businesses, especially for people who reach retirement age. What improvements would you propose to make health insurance more affordable for businesses and retirees?
Well, like I said, the government is looking to subsidize health care for children. Synico would be offered to children, whether they're private school or public school, bringing back what we had in place before. That alleviates the stress on parents. Also having government offer Synico to retirees, because what happens now is when civil servants retire, they get their health care through the government. People in the private sector then have to go out and buy insurance for themselves, and the premiums are a lot higher because at 65, the health concerns are there. What we can look at is having a standardized health plan that offers people from early ages, which are the people who are not often sick, and also having preventative health measures in the country, advocating for better health, because what we're seeing now is that the average person here who is ailing from diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. So if we can get people to be preventative, we can start to curve away from some of these diseases. It lowers the threshold of what insurance has to cover. Therefore, the insurance providers don't have to be so strict and stringent on what they charge for plans. The average business offers the SHIC plan, which is the bare minimum. And if we had something that was more standardized, it would give a formula for where companies have to give something just a bump up from that to make sure people are adequately covered. So Synico compensating for the working class that are over 65 and the kids who aren't 18, alleviates the stress of the parents. So if they did have to pay higher premiums, they would already be saving by not having to pay for their kids. And those who are retired would automatically have that health care to fall back on, so they wouldn't have to use their pension money or their savings to compensate for health care that's going to be well needed. And if we can definitely get them to that age without diabetes and hypertension and heart disease, then they're going to live a better quality of life. So preventative measures, good practice, educating people on good practice for eating and dietary supplements will help get them to have a more successful life as well. Hope that answers the question for you.
Thank you. Jay?
Thank you. I'm happy to know that the progressive government is actually looking at the healthcare and how to make healthcare free, because that's something that this government has already been looking. But again, I could say that half of this government is actually probably already on the progressive, so they probably carry that mandate over. But again, if we just come out of Parliament, and that was one of the motions that we accepted, was to make free healthcare for kids. Free healthcare, to make sure our seniors are taken care of. So it's something that we already been looking to, and we already support, and I support, and I'm going to continue to support. But one thing I want to make sure that we look at is that one of the things that really hits home to my seniors back in Northside is that those that have cynical insurance are only allowed to go to HSA unless they get a referral to go to other areas. We need to be able to open that door so that our people, our seniors, can go, don't have to cross a hospital to get to another hospital, right? That's something that we want to look at. That is very easy. That is almost there, so we can actually push to continue just to get that there. But you can just imagine how much more easier it's going to be, because what we need to do is we need to become more the regulatory body and start to force the insurance market to come down. And we can do that, but it takes a collective government together to make sure it's got we can sit here and we can blow all the hot air we want all day and say what we want to say. But unless everybody is collecting together to make that decision to see it done, it's not going to happen. That's just point blank. So we just need to continue to push it and to see how we can get there. And it's almost to the point where we could get it. We can make that a reality, to have free health care for kids and for our seniors.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. We've gone through 8 questions, and now right this time we're going to take a short commercial break. Please stay tuned.
For the past 58 years, CUC has strived to be more than just an electricity provider. We have sought to be a foundational company. We give back to our community, and with the hard work and dedication of our employees, we have built and maintained one of the safest and most reliable electricity grids in the region. As we all look to the future, we at CUC want the Grand Cayman community to have confidence that our commitment to you will continue. Join us as we continue this journey together at empoweringcayman.com.
In the Cayman Islands, our habitats, including coral reefs, coastlines, and mangroves, are all dependent on one another. Our economy is no different. From people to businesses, right through to government, it's all connected. And just like everyone wants a healthy ecosystem, everyone wants a healthy economy too. Cayman is a top-ranked international financial center and domicile for captives, investment funds, and pensions worldwide. And our biggest economic contributor? Construction, you ask? Not quite. Tourism? Close. It's true that we're a country of consumers, and the more people we have using our services, the more money we make. But our actual greatest economic contributor is our world-class financial services. Long ago, we had a simple economy. One person has fish, another person needs to eat. That's a transaction. Now imagine that instead of fish, it's a boat, a house, or a car, or a fleet, or business you can earn on. That's investment. But what if you're in Canada and your investment is based in China? Whose rules and regulation do you use? Cayman maintains a high level of integrity with a stable government and a UK-based legal system, globally respected for fairness. That's why so many countries choose us for these transactions. The more transactions we do, the more specialized we become, and the more our economy grows. The result? Cayman is now home to many of the world's top accountants, law firms, banks, fiduciary firms, and administrators. Unlike most countries, Cayman doesn't add an extra layer of taxes on top of tax paid in an investor's home country. That way, there's no duplication of taxation. Instead, our financial services fees ensures constant investment in our professional sector's exceptional service. Cayman's tax-neutral status combats tax evasion with legislation, regulation, and more, ensuring the highest international standards for transparency and cross-border cooperation and attracting reputable investors. All these factors make the Cayman Islands an ideal and trusted international financial center.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for the constituency of Northside. We've run through 8 questions with the candidates. We're now on the 9th question, and we'll be dealing with immigration white paper. Omari?
Thank you, Will. And Jay, we'll start with you. What recommendations in the recent immigration white paper would you support and why?
There are several things in this immigration as I first started off with that. My number one topic is going to be in immigration, always going to be immigration reform, but we're going to start with our statuses. We have to start there. We have to fix that first. Our second thing, we need to make sure we get our fingerprinting and face recognition scanners in this country. It is crucial. We are at a cross point that needs to happen. There are too many people getting deported back home, and we don't know what the Cayman Islands is going to get. I am repeating that. It is at a crucial point right now. If we do not get that fixed, we're going to be in even bigger problems. The second thing is that we need to look at, or the third thing we need to look at also, as I mentioned, is about the civil service. Putting them a part of the rollover policy. The fourth one that we need to look at is the rights to be Caymanian. We need to look at that also. We need to move that number up a lot higher than where it's at. The next thing we need to do is we need to get back to where we were, where we called not immigration, but the Cayman Protection Board. We need to move from the word we call work permits, and we're going to go to what we call work visas. Because when you come to this country, you will understand that you are a visitor of this country. We're going to back to where part you have your identification. We're going to go back to where part we're going to have to put our enforcement officers back on the road to make sure they are doing their job out there, to make sure that we are eradicating anyone that is supposed to be here, to get them off of this island. There are some serious things that we need to do with immigration reform. I have a strong leadership background that I can show, and I've already proven to the people that I can do the job. I am looking at doing the job from the immigration, and I know within a year I can reform the immigration system in this country. As long as I have a strong government that is willing to do it and not be gerrymandering or holding accountable to any interest groups,
Thank you.
we can get this done in this country.
Thank you, Jay. Justin, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, that's fine. We need to clamp down on work permit abuse. We need to make sure that we're clamping down on the people who are working outside the remit of their permits and they're taking away from job opportunities for our local people. We need to make sure that we expand immigration enforcement so that they're able to go out and enforce and ensure that companies are adhering to the country's permit policies. We also have to look at creating and extracting more data from immigration. In doing so, we can identify the jobs that are becoming more demanding, and in doing that, we can ensure we're teaching our kids and getting the training programs and curriculum in place so they're being qualified to replace those permit holders. When we know what trends are being done through immigration, we know how to train our kids. Once upon a time, everyone was an accountant. We saturated the market with accountants, and people stopped going to be accountants, and they started to do other things like compliance because we could see the trend and the need for those jobs. If immigration has proper data in place, we can get the curriculum in place, the education programs, the scholarships needed to make sure we're training our young people to be able to get those jobs. That way we can reduce the amount of permits needed in the country. We can also do programs where we can identify jobs that are for Caymanians only. If we can earmark those jobs, we're then creating solutions for employment opportunities for our people. Immigration has to be more active in providing data and information and being more strict and stringent on what they're allowing to be done through the permit process. So enforcement fixes one aspect, being able to initiate new policies to earmark jobs for Caymanians only, and then identifying where the trends are going to come so we're getting our young people adequately trained to be able to move into those jobs.
Thank you, Justin.
Justin, moving on with crime. Are you concerned about the crime level in the North Side? If yes, what strategies would you recommend to address the increase?
Very concerned about crime in Northside and this country. And what we can see is that crime is on the uptick and on the rise. And it's only a matter of time before it starts to spill into the eastern districts, which are a lot more laid back and relaxed. What we're not seeing in Northside is a strong police presence. A strong police presence will help remediate crime. If we have patrols throughout the day and we have patrols at night throughout the community, it was going to send a warning message to those who want to come up and take from people in the district. If we have police presence when businesses are closing up during closing hours, it keeps people from having the ability to just plan the attack. If criminals don't know when the police is going to pop up, it's going to hinder them from thinking to do it in the first place. But the police have to be present. During school hours, when the school is taking in the morning, police should be parked there with their lights on, making the presence known, not with their radar guns. Because someone leaving home, forgetting the pot of coffee, might creep over the speed limit, they get a ticket that is not reminding them to slow down. In most countries, police are present during school letting in and letting out in the afternoons. So police presence will protect our kids during school hours. Police presence will protect our businesses when they're closing and operating. And a constant police force will help remediate people from burglaries and other crimes in the district because they're actively present. So we definitely need to get the Northside Police Station back up and running. It's been down far too long, and we have the police force. We just have to utilize them adequately and make sure they're present and available to make sure the community has that security in mind.
Thank you, Justin. Jay, would you like me to repeat the question?
Thank you. First off, let me just reverse back because when we talk about the school time in the mornings, every morning there's police at the schools. Every morning, reminding the traffic to slow down. Yes, they are there with their radar guns because that's part of their job. What they need to do is to make sure that they're catching speeders. Second thing, yes, Northside may have had a setback with the fire at their police station. Yes, we may not have had as much police present because of that one incident is what caused that, which allowed then the Northside and Easton to be more combined when it came to police presence. But our police station as well is on its way to be opening back. And I can tell you, one of the main things that we need in the eastern side is a firearms unit. That's what we're missing. We need to have a firearms unit. I've requested already that we have a firearms unit for the eastern side of the island. Having a lot, we can have police, but if there is someone that's robbing with a gun, the police aren't going into those areas until the firearm unit arrives. And if the firearm unit has to come from Georgetown to north side, by that time, they're already gone. Because no police officer is going to go in there until they know that that place is safe. So having police is one thing, but having the right police is what we need to have. And once we have our station back open, north side and the eastern side in eastern, because we have been lobbying for this, and we're going to make sure that we continue to push for this, that we're going to have a firearms unit in the eastern side of the island to help protect our people, but to also check on every one of the moms and pop stores that when they're closing time, that yes, there are police passing by through there so that they know. But once the criminals know that Northside has that unit in there, we will deter those crimes from happening. That's where we need to start from, and that's the direction we're heading into.
Thank you.
Jay, I'll start with you. Now, this question is long, so I will read it twice. There have been discussions surrounding the Cayman Islands implementing a parliamentary code of conduct for years, but it has never materialized. Countries like the UK, Canada, and Bermuda have similar frameworks which promote accountability and public trust by setting out principles and rules of conduct. If elected, will you support the creation of a Cayman Islands parliamentary code of conduct and abide by it? And what key elements do you believe it should include? I'll read it one more time.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the question. When I first signed up to this, I signed up with the people of Northside. When they elected me, they gave me a code of conduct to follow. And that was to represent them at their best. When I got in as minister, I signed a code of conduct. It was some of the other side of the opposition that didn't agree with the code of conduct at that time. But when I was along with the first government, we signed a code of conduct. I agree with the code of conduct. Yes, there are principles that the ministers and everybody else that are there, because we're no better than anyone else, should be following. And I will continue to push for a code of conduct, no matter what team I'm part of, because it is a guideline that holds our people responsible that are in the high office. And yes, we need to continue with it. And that is just straightforward. There's no bends or ins around about it. There has to be a code of conduct. And do we have to put one in the parliament for when you walk into parliament? Yes. And there has to be ways for repercussions? Yes. Where do you go for that? Well, let's set that up. That should have been part of the whole standing orders that we set up the other day. But again, we couldn't get everything done at one time. So I guess, you know what? Everything is a walking force down as we continue to move forward. But absolutely, I support a code of conduct.
Thank you, Jay. Justin, do you need me to repeat the question?
The answer is yes. We need to have that in place, proper code of conduct, and we also have to enforce it, quite simply. So we need to have it established, and it has to be enforced. Simple.
Thank you, Justin.
Justin, would you recommend or support additional programs to assist the elderly population in Northside and the Cayman Islands? And if yes, please elaborate.
Yes, and I actually have some plans for the District of Northside. A lot of people today retire at 65 and are still willing to give back. They're still willing to work, and a lot of them still need to work and still need to be active. So I want to initiate programs in the district where we can have some of those retirees, the 65-year-olds and up, where they can give back to the youth into the district. We're seeing where volunteerism is dying off. Volunteerism is something that is not available anymore. So if we can get the elderly who are no longer working, and we even give them a small subsidy, not having to pay them pension and health because they already have that in place, we can then utilize their skills and knowledge to pass on to the younger generation. I'm looking at doing programs to get people ready for soft skills for employment, how to articulate, how to speak, how to work on resumes, so they can pass down the knowledge from the working force, the knowledge gained over the years on how to make sure you're approaching jobs timely, making sure you have proper rapport. Also working on programs to help with the Boys Brigade. We need to bring that back. I want to expand on the Girls Brigade, and there's also a scout program that could use some support. So if we can get some of these people who are still actively willing to do in the community, they can give back for after-school tutelage, Girls and Boys Brigade, Scouts programs. And then I'm also looking to do a program where we can have elderly engagement so they have something to do. It needs to have more continuity and more structure to it. And it's right now it's in place, but it doesn't have the lifespan, the continuity, and a more scheduled routine of diversity for them to have things to do in the daytime because they're home. Their kids are at school, and we're seeing now where we have 2 and 3 generations in a household. So if we can get them up and working and doing things at a level where they're still being subsidized, it gives back to the household and it gives back to the community. Just because you're 65 doesn't mean you're not able to get up and go. So we want to make sure we have them included in the community, and that's a part of having collective representation, making sure the kids are taken care of, and making sure the elderly are being supported.
Thank you, Justin. Jay?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. Would you recommend or support additional programs to assist the elderly population in Northside and in the Cayman Islands? If yes, please elaborate.
Well, first off, I want to start off by telling you that retirement age of 65 is something that we need to get rid of. I have too many seniors that are dreading when they hit 65 and say, look, I have 2 more years left on my mortgage and I could work another 3 or 4 years before I retire. We need to remove that ceiling gap off of top of Caymanians. That Caymanians can work until they feel fit to retire. Next thing, I want to thank the the Pilgrim Holiness Church in Northside, because we do have a boys brigade, and if my colleague had knew in the district, he would have known that there is a boys brigade happening there. So I just want to thank the church for the boys brigade that they actually put on. There are a lot of programs that we have going on. We do programs every single day with our seniors. We're having something with our seniors. We're carrying them to something. I bought a community bus where we pick up our seniors. We carry them out to events all around. If they have to go to their and come into town in the night times to the Siemens meetings, we carry them there. Whatever programs there are, we have been having several programs going on. We have school after school programs where we carry kids to Jubilati class. The whole works. There is a list of programs that are happening in Northside. There are a lot of seniors. If you don't get to know the seniors in Northside, and they'll tell you they're happy. They sit down and they tell us every single week what they want to do, and we action what they want to do. We work with them 24/7. We see them every day. We do what we have to do with the kids every day. I listen to the kids. I probably have a garage full of kids right now sitting at my house right now. And you know what they're telling me? The one thing that they asked me for when I ran, they said, Mr. J, once you get elected, you know what I want you to do? I want a basketball court. I delivered them a basketball court. You know what they wanted the other day? As a pickleball court. Because pickleball is taken off and pickleball was all in Georgetown. Now they're getting a pickleball court. I support the young activities, what the younger kids are asking for. But if you do not talk to the kids, you will not know what's happening in your district. And if you do not talk to the seniors, you will not know what the seniors want.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
Jay.
Well, we've gone through 12 questions, gentlemen, and now we're going to take a short commercial break, and when we return, we'll have the 2.5-minute closing statements from each candidate. Please stay tuned.
For the past 58 years, CUC has strived to be more than just an electricity provider. We have sought to be a foundational company. We give back to our community, and with the hard work and dedication of our employees, we have built and maintained one of the safest and most reliable electricity grids in the region. As we all look to the future, we at CUC want the Grand Cayman community to have confidence that our commitment to you will continue. Join us as we continue this journey together at empoweringcayman.com.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for the constituency of North Side. We've gone through 12 questions this evening, and now we're in the closing statements for each candidate, and we'll begin as they're seated, and we'll begin with Jahoni Ebanks. Jahani. Sorry, sir.
Don't worry. My fellow Northsiders, you have elected a candidate, and you have proven to me and given me 4 years. I'm asking you for my re-election now. You've elected a workaholic, someone that doesn't mind getting the work done, going in and working very hard. Someone that's unbought, unbossed, and unafraid. I am a leader for you. I am a champion for you. I continue to fight for you no matter what. And you know what? No special interest groups. You can always say that no special interest group owns your minister, your MP. My fellow Northsiders, when we go back to the polls, there's only one thing you can do. There's only one way, and it is for vote number 1 for J.E. Banks, and that is it. I have a proven, stable leadership track record. I can actually take the slogan from the progressive government. I've proven it. I'm a stable, and I've been a strong leadership. So I can actually physically take their slogan, and I'm going to take it tonight. Proven, stable leadership. Thank you.
Justin?
Thank you. As I started out tonight, I said that I would like to represent Northside with stability, with ethics and trust. I want to make sure that Northside is going to have the proper opportunities to excel in their own country. I want to make sure there are things in place to make sure they have a better quality of life. This is not a job for an independent. This is a job for a collective team. People are going to contribute. This is a job for the community to work alongside the representative. That is why we need to have collective representation. The representative needs to be present in the homes, in the lives of the people, and making sure they're having a fair share of what it takes to be successful in their own district and to make sure they're given a say in what happens in their district. The people of Northside need to be able to have the decision-making ability, have a say, and be able to design what they want for the community. I plan to bring to you a development plan for the community. I plan to bring back the district council and make sure there's a district committee that we can adhere to all the different aspects of the community. But this job is only going to be successful with teamwork. There is no individualism in this. I'm going to need each and every one of you to support me so I can sit and be with the team to support you. It's going to take a collective response from our young people, our working generation, and the retirees. So on April 30th, I ask the people of Northside to vote for stability, structure, and a track record of success with the PPM government behind me. We can do great things together. With the people of Northside working with me, we're going to accomplish a lot. God bless Northside, the people of Cayman. I want to thank the Chambers for hosting tonight and the ability to be here and speak. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. And now we're going to turn it over to Chamber President Omari Corbin for some closing statements.
On behalf of the Chamber Council and staff, I thank Jahoni Ebanks and Justin Ebanks for participating in this evening's forum. I trust that this forum will help Northside voters determine who to vote for when they go to the polls on April 30th. I would like to thank Ashley's Furniture and Home Store, CUC, Foster's, and Logic for sponsoring the Chamber's candidate forums. Please join us Monday evening as we welcome the candidates from the constituency of Prospect, Michael Miles, Sabrina Turner, and Crystal Gomez-Wilson. Remember, all forums will be posted to the Chamber's YouTube channel in case you wish to watch them in the future. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you will join us on Monday evening. Enjoy the weekend and do have a good night. Thank you.